Wes Anderson's movie Asteroid City is all about layers. It's about layers of unreality. And there might be more layers than you think. Hi, this is a Drafthouse Diary for Wednesday, June 28th, when I went to the Alamo Drafthouse at Littleton Aspen Grove to see Asteroid City once again. Second time I've seen this movie. After our first reactions video that I filmed with Ian from Item Crafting after our first viewing at Sloan's Lake, I'd been thinking about this movie nonstop, and I found myself thinking on this second viewing specifically about the structure of the multiple layers of this movie and how it was layers not just of story but of layers of reality, levels of reality, and what that really means and what that is trying to convey, I think, to the audience. First, we have the movie version of Asteroid City, the story that you might have expected from the trailers. This is the depiction of the story of these people who are gathered in the town of Asteroid City and later quarantined there in this desert town. The story depicted in a pale, washed out pastel color palette and flat backgrounds and all the typical tricks of blocking and framing that you would expect from a Wes Anderson movie. And that is in itself a good story and a good film. But this movie, Asteroid City, the one that we went into the theater to see, makes it clear to us very explicitly that that movie, that color story of Asteroid City, isn't real. Even in the context of the film, it's not real. What we're seeing there is a depiction of a stage play, and yet we're not seeing it as a stage play that's been filmed as it's mounted on stage. We're seeing it as a movie. And this is a stage play that, to our knowledge within the movie, was never adapted to film. That stage play is Asteroid City, written by acclaimed playwright Conrad Earp, directed by driven and troubled artist Schubert Green. It went on to have a successful run on stage. And we see bits about that play and the production of that play. But surprise, that play, Asteroid City, is also not real. Within the context of the overall film, it's not real. And this is possible because the next layer of reality out from that stage play, the first thing that we see when the movie itself begins to run, is a TV anthology hosted by a character played by Bryan Cranston. And our host for that TV show makes it clear what he's showing us is a fictional story about a fictional stage play. The stage play Asteroid City is not real. The playwright, Conrad Earp, is a fictional character. The director, Schubert Green, a fictional character. And this 1950s TV show has made up these characters and this play to tell us the story of what it would be like to put on a Broadway show. And that leaves us in the layer of reality represented by that 50s anthology TV show. But of course, that's not real either, because we're seeing that in a movie theater. And that brings us to the next layer. I'm tempted to call it the outermost layer, but I'm not going to. But that next layer is us. It's you and me, sitting in the movie theater to see a Wes Anderson movie, watching Bryan Cranston, an actor we know from other things, playing the host of a fictional TV program that's telling us the story of a fictional stage play. And that leads us to the story in this desert town of people who never existed on any level, as far as we can tell. But now that we're up at the top, sitting in our theater seat, nibbling on our popcorn, laughing at the jokes, wondering if our date is enjoying the movie, now finally we're in the real world. Aren't we? Or maybe not? I think this is the question that Wes Anderson wants to leave us with. Once we have been through layer after layer after layer of explicitly unreal experience, maybe we should not take for granted that the real world as we know it and experience it, the real world that we inhabit, is entirely as real as we tend to think. I'm not suggesting that Wes Anderson is advocating for the simulation hypothesis, or that I am. That's a separate topic that I'd be happy to talk about sometime if anybody wants to. But maybe the message here is the same as that stated in many of the world's great spiritual traditions, that the universe that we perceive around us is not necessarily real in the way that we might tend to think. And we would do well to remember that. I'm also suggesting, and I think Anderson might be telling us this, that the state that we are in when we are watching a movie, when we are absorbing a story, is not the same state that we are in the rest of everyday life. Who we are as an audience is just as strange, just as heightened, just as unreal as any other layer in the film that we're sitting in the theater watching. This leads directly to what I think is the case that Anderson is making most strongly for the importance of story in the complete human experience. When we are engrossed in the depths of a story, we are changed. We are in a dreamlike condition, and there are things about ourselves and about our world that we simply cannot learn without entering and then emerging from that altered state. Or, as Asteroid City puts it, you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. And I still haven't stopped thinking about this movie, so I may be going to see it again. But in the meantime, this is a Drafthouse Diary, so I have to tell you about the rest of my trip to the Alamo Drafthouse. The pre-show, well, of course, it was the same pre-show that we saw a week before in Sloan's Lake. The pre-show crafted for Asteroid City. The only difference in my experience was on opening night, we were delayed in being allowed into the auditorium, so I didn't see the very beginning of the pre-show. This time I did. All I had missed previously was, I think it was a featurette trailer, making of kind of promo, about Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Clearly one of the influences on Asteroid City. So it was fun to see that in context. I also got some food, and that was interesting because there is a menu update. It's actually not a change to the menu, but it's a special event menu for the new Indiana Jones movie. They've introduced several new dishes, including a pulled pork pizza, the Henry dog, which looks like a spicy hot dog. It's got sriracha and a spicy relish, and also a whip to a gunfight shake, as well as a couple of cocktails. They still have the bonus features on the inside of the menu, things like that big cookie shake and the Brussels sprouts pizza and the Berber spiced wings that are so good, and the glazed and infused burgers. So those are still there, but at least now they've got a few additional items with this Indiana Jones bonus on the cover of the menu. I tried the pulled pork pizza, and it was good. It was kind of complicated. There was so much going on with the barbecue sauce and the pulled pork and the onions, and I think there was pieces of cherry tomato on there. It was a little bit difficult to eat. It was chunky and things wanted to fall off, but the flavor was very good. And I'll certainly be trying other things on that special menu on future visits. And when I do have those visits, of course, I'll be back with more Drafthouse Diaries. If you enjoyed this one, please click the like button down below. And if you want to see those future diary entries, click subscribe. If you're interested in our first reactions to our first viewing of Asteroid City, check out this video. I'll be back soon with more Drafthouse Diary entries. And in the meantime, enjoy your movies. And when you do, stay till the end of the credits.